All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. Time for the end of day pulse wave report with yours truly, the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous pulse wave price trigger reports. All right, let's jump right into it. First thing on the screen is going to be gold. All right, so we're going gold futures to start things off. As you can see here, yesterday we had that close at the low, and then today we have what? A rally. Market popped up. I think the bearish pointer is in play. Market's going to try to best 1900 as possible, ladies and gentlemen. It's like we're going to try to at least get to around 1890, but I think that 1900 is definitely in the target. Trying to make a run back up toward the all-time highs is looking rather interesting at the moment. More upside production seems to be in play on your gold. Now let's take a look at on the equity side of gold. What about GLD? Any clues there? Well, as you can see here, GLD has this gap that it made on November the 10th that needs to be reconciled. Right now it's been moving sideways, right? Just kind of bumping at the highs, and this gap needs to be dealt with. It has not yet. So something's telling me that 1900 threshold is going to be a really tough resistance point for gold. On the GLD side, 175 seems to be the Achilles heel on GLD. So 175, this is GLD, the ETF that tracks gold futures, has a gap that it needs to reconcile before you can do anything here. Then the next gap is here, done on November the 4th. All right, so you do have these two gaps on the downside that need to be done. So we might see this market fail up here, and then at some point come down and reconcile right away. I want to bring your attention to where gold did this before. If you go back in time here, you see on August the 11th, GLD had a gap up. This gap was not reconciled until September the 29th. All right. Finally filled. So you did it on August the 11th, and it wasn't until September 28th, 29th that you filled it. So it waited a long time to come down and do it. In the meantime, it kept going to new highs. This can happen again here. This going on is kind of similar to this going on. Market gapped and then kept going. It filled this gap and then went on, ignoring this gap and this gap. But then finally, it gaps down, comes down here, takes these two out and back and fills, and then here we are. So I'm saying beware of the back and fill. I don't think the rally will be sustainable, at least not till those gaps are done. How is this affecting the gold miners? Here's GDXJ. As you see, we had the crash alert sell signal. Yesterday, we got that downside production. Today, we're kind of hanging out narrow range inside day. We'll see what tomorrow will bring, but I think that the trend line support around the $44-ish level is definitely in play. So definitely want to be prepared for that one. What about silver? How is this affecting the silver market? Well, taking a look at silver, you see the crash alert sell signal. We got that initial downside production. And then today, again, that narrow range inside day as well. I think $24 is in play, which is the trend line support on that one. But the next question will be, what do the equities say? Is there any signal on SLV? Well, we had the crash alert sell signal. Yesterday was the downside initial production. Today, narrow range inside day. Trend line support is around the $22 range. So that's what we're looking on that one. Another interesting day that we had was in oil. Here's the crude oil futures. Don't you just love the pulse waves? Now, we had the crash alert sell signal on November the 10th. We got the initial downside production. Then we had the pause, right? And then today we get this massive down bar, and now the beginning of a corrective cycle yet again, like we did back here. But this time we're putting another leg down. We took out old key supports, and you fell below the trend line support, and you stopped short right at the top of the Kumo cloud. So yeah, sell-off is here. You got the red zone. You got the red grizzly bear on. You got a bear market going on now in your crude oil futures. All right, you are now a whopping what, about $10 off the high, pretty much. That's a whopper of a move, ladies and gentlemen. So it looks like for now we got a short-term top in place, and now the market is finally correcting and having a pullback, having a correction. We'll see what happens. Got to lock in those gains and profits, you know, especially if you have been short the oil based on the pulse waves. All right, let's take a look on the equity side of oil. Here's ticker OIH. OIH looks even cleaner. Look at this crash alert sell signal. Boom. You never got out of the corrective phase on the equity side. You notice that? You're still in the correction side, and you got deeper into the Kumo cloud. You stopped short right in the center of the Kumo cloud. So you're in the red zone. You're deep in the red zone. You took out your key supports, and your bear market is just beginning, basically. All right. So this is a very interesting tell of two stories. Another interesting day we had was not just what happened in oil, but also looking at the forex. Let's take a look at the Australian dollar. We fell out of bed. We're falling over the cliff on the Australian dollar. As you can see here, the crash alert sell signal is still giving us downside production. Red zone bear market. What else do you want from me? Canadian dollar moving opposite of oil today. Canadian dollar giving more upside production from the rally alert buy signal way back on October the 21st, and it's been nothing but upside production. The target, I believe, is the bottom of the Kumo cloud. I think the market should be able to at least get to around the 126.50 level before hitting some type of resistance. Next up, you want to know the euro yen. As you know, the euro yen, I think, has been leading the equities to the low point. Here's this massive down bar on your euro yen, producing more downside production from the crash alert sell signal back on October the 21st. You are still deep in the corrective zone. You are in the red zone, and you've gone from a bullish market to a bearish market. All right. And you're accelerating to the downside. I think 128 is definitely in play at this point as the market is in free fall. Flipping it over to the US dollar, though, the US dollar didn't have a good day either. We got a crash alert sell signal right here for tonight into tomorrow's trading. Trend line support back down to the 94 handle is now in play. Very interesting turn of events in these markets. Taking a look now at real estate. Here's your ticker IYR. All right, so very interesting here. Now we are in a corrective position again, like you were back here. Got this initial downside, creating a massive bearish pointer, stopping short at the trend line support around 108. And I think the top of the Kumo cloud is in play at least. That should take the market down to around the 106 level. And it's looking like we're going to get there. Real estate is in shambles. It's much more serious than what people realize. I know you heard about the Zillow news. And they were trying to do that flip this house thing, and it just didn't work. And now they're upside down tens of millions of dollars. Not to mention IYR created a gap on October the 14th that is to this day not yet been reconciled, which means you can expect prices to fall at least below 106 in order to fill the gap. Yes, prices are going to come down to at least 106. All right, just be prepared for that, ladies and gentlemen. You got to keep your eyes open. Let's take a look now on the equity side. Here is the NASDAQ 100. All right, so you had the crash alert sell signal from November the 8th. We got that nice initial downside production, the market back and filled, and then now it's just kind of hanging in here. It took out the corrective position, and now it's putting itself in a position where it can rally, but not so fast. What about the IWM, the equity side of the Russell? Totally different story. IWM tracks the Russell futures, and as you can see, we had the crash alert sell signal from November the 9th, and we got the initial downside production, sideways movement, then we got another leg down. Trendline support at 230-ish is in play, followed by the top of the Kumo cloud, which could take you down to around the 222.19 level. So you got a lot of downside potential here, especially since there's been no correction up in here. The market just took off and didn't look back, so it's very well extended. I think you got some more downside coming here very soon. Can't ignore what you see here. But as far as gappage, not really seeing any. So it doesn't have to pay any bills per se. It looks like it's okay. It could probably come down a little bit more and then, get a technical bounce, and then we'll see how the bears feel about it from there. Maybe the market's waiting for a catalyst, but right now you are in that bearish position. Remember what I taught you guys, the equities are always better priced than the futures. Futures have more extremes toward highs and lows, supports and resistance where they overshoot. All right, so you got to look at that. Well, we did not look at the QQQ. Let's do that. We looked at the NASDAQ 100 futures, but here's the QQQ. The QQQ is showing exactly as the NASDAQ futures are showing. So we have a divergence between the tech sector and the rest of the market. Very interesting, to say the least, on how we could go from here. All right, let's switch gears and look at bonds real quick. Here's the ticker TLT. All right, so you had the crash alert sell signal on November the 10th. You got this nice downside production. Now the market looks like it's ready to try to come back here and do a little something. So you got a rally alert for tomorrow's trading, but you have a problem. The 150 handle, which is way back up in here, right, may not be in play. The reason being is because around this 147 mark, you got a double layer. You got the overhead trendline resistance in the top of the Kumo cloud, which could prove very powerful overhead resistances. And you are in the red zone, okay? Just something to think about. Not saying that it can't happen and it won't do it. Just saying you gotta look and see. I know the bonds are heavily manipulated right now, just like the crude oil market is. Bonds are the second most gangster market in the world. I don't know. Some days they're more gangster than oil. Other days, not as gangster. But right now, they're still the two most gangster markets on the planet because they're heavily controlled, intervened on, and manipulated and everything else. So you got to be careful. But right now, this is what we're seeing. So you can't ignore the rally alerts and the crash alerts. You got to trade what you see, but just be careful. Whenever you're going against the prevailing trend, you got to, definitely have those stops, and you got to trail your positions a little bit tighter, not as loose than when you're trading with the trend. So just some FYI there. All right, here's ADA Cardano. Going now to the crypto side of things. It's fallen out of the Kumo cloud and still being kept by the October 21st consolidation bar. Market has not been able to break out of it, not even a little bit. So really nothing to see there. What about Ethereum? Ethereum has been trying to buck. And as you can see here, you had the crash alert sell signal from November the 14th. And here's all your downside production from there. The market has fallen quite a bit. And I think the trend line support around the 4,000, 3,900-ish level is definitely in play right now. All right. Next up, we got Litecoin. Litecoin just has been really underperforming. You had the crash alert sell signal coming into today. You got the initial downside production, but you're at a place where you could find some support around these levels. The trend line support at 200 should be a pretty decent support. I'm thinking it may hold. It took a lot for this market to get out of the longer term consolidation cycle from September the 7th. Look how long it stayed just in that consolidation bar. And then finally you got some reprieve, but now you're just right back down to the September 7th consolidation bar. So very disappointing in Litecoin. If you've had money tied up in Litecoin, it would have been no different if you put it under your mattress. Your money hasn't worked for you at all. All right, here's THETA. All right, so THETA, as you can see here, consolidation bar September the 7th. Market has pretty much stayed in that bar as well and is having a hard time breaking out from the lower end of this bar. Very hard time. I thought and was hoping that it would come up here and test the higher resistance levels of the consolidation band, but it just can't do it. It gets about midway and then it just can't do it. It falls back down. So we have yet another rally alert buy signal for tonight into tomorrow's trading. You're in the corrective path, which is going to keep pressure on price and make it stay near the lower ends of the consolidation bar, which it's been now for, the last couple of months. Just really having a lot of problems in a lot of these markets right now. Looking at our last one, which is a Ripple, XRP Ripple. All right, so your XRP Ripple right now is, in a corrective position. You're in the red zone, and you're just narrow range inside daying yourself, and really price action is staying right at or near the trend line and not going anywhere else. And you've had multiple consolidation zones in this one as well. The key zone is from September the 7th, and you've just been going nowhere. You extended the range and on September the 20th, came back into alignment on October the 27th, tried to go and play around at the higher end of the range on October the 10th, and now here we are coming back down to the lower ones on November the 16th. So this one just cannot get up either. It is what it is. And it's sad, because you want to see some action. You want to see the markets, do their thing. But for some odd reason, it's really just struggling, really struggling. Let's see here. Give me just a second. All right. Let me see what I got here. Okay, so I don't have, I thought I had it. I don't. For some odd reason, my repository is offline at the moment. I do apologize for that. Let me see if I can get it online real quick. And I'm going to see if I can get that MGC Pharmaceuticals for you. Just give me a second. I'm trying to see if it's back online. And I should be able to pull it up if we are. All right. Looks like we are. Okay. Let me see if I can pull up that MGC Pharmaceuticals for you. Okay. Okay. All right, where is it? Okay, this should be it. All right, so for our brethren overseas in Australia, here's your MGC Pharmaceuticals. You got a crash alert here for tomorrow's trading session. You're below the overhead trend line resistance. You're below the Kumo cloud. You're deep in the red zone. And this one is just not really doing a lot for you. As far as on the weekly, pretty much the same thing. You're below the Kumo cloud and you're just a tad below the trend line as well. Here was the last crash alert sell signal on October the 5th, the week of October the 15th, and you've just been getting steady downside production in the red zone, bear market on the weekly on this one. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. Smash that like button. Go to PulseWaveTrading.com. Take advantage of our special coupon offer available only on the website, and you can save yourself $100 off your subscription for life if you go to PulseWaveTrading.com. Also, we're going to be doing our special report tomorrow morning. I believe it's going to be at 10:30 Eastern Standard New York time. When we go live, we talk for a couple of minutes, and then we go over to the what do you call it? I can't even think right now. What's that platform we go to and we talk freely without being censored? You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we've been having some very lively discussions. It's been really awesome. And if you have been missing it, I don't know what to tell you because it's not recorded. It is just live and in effect. You get to ask questions. We go over a lot. We go over a lot of topics we just are not allowed to do on YouTube. So Discord, there you go. Thanks, Thomas. Yes, Discord. Yeah, man. So we go live here and then we go on Discord and it's not recorded, but we get to talk freely and we have a good time over there. So you don't want to miss that tomorrow morning. All right, with that being said, you know what it is. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I am out. Peace.